Hey, Carew. It is the 14th of November. I'm currently in a hotel room in Dublin. I'm just recording audio. I have some footage of sunsets that I have on the computer. I'll probably put this over that. But I wanted to make a response to your last video. And you asked me, I can't remember the exact wording, but the note that I wrote down was, what was the purpose or goal of the trip, and have we achieved it? How do we feel about this last 6 weeks spent in Wales? And I suspect the question comes from a place about, working on the house. And I think taking a step back, the work on the house is not the primary reason for being in Wales. It was in the spring. But when we had a vision for buying a house, a place in Wales, the initial goal was really about getting to become more engaged in sort of the daily life of Wales, and specifically, actually, for Sarah to improve her Welsh language skills. That was one of the overriding considerations about buying a house, was that the only way for her to get better at Welsh was to spend significant time in a Welsh-speaking community, speaking Welsh with people. So, when we bought the house and it required all this work in order to be sort of what we'd like it to be, that's secondary to that initial goal. Actually, it's not even, it's tertiary probably, or maybe even lower. Because we also want to spend time in the Welsh countryside and visiting historical Welsh sites. And so this trip was really never intended to be as house-centric as it kind of was, but the scaffolding, the inability to get the scaffolding removed, became sort of this cloud hanging over everything else. I think it's going to get better in the future. And the goal really is to kind of do a little bit of stuff on the house, but to focus on community and speaking Welsh and improving Welsh and getting out and seeing things. And we did a lot of that on this trip. Obviously the community building that we did, working, getting to know our neighbors, the walking group was just amazing. I mean, we got to know, a group of like 10 to 15 people, fairly well. I mean, you wouldn't say you're close friends, but I mean, if you spend an hour walking with people every day for 6 weeks, you get to know them a little bit, and you get to build relationships. And so that was really lovely. Now, all of the work that Brad did on the house was just amazing, honestly. It was more than we possibly hoped would get done on this trip. And all the painting in the halls. And he did so many little things that I kind of couldn't keep track of it all. He fixed broken outlets. He fixed one of the sinks. The cold water had been turned off to that sink because there was a chatter in the valve, and it made the pipes shake. And he replaced the valve for us. There were just a million little things like that where he'd see something, he'd just go take care of it. And we tried really hard to make sure that every day we got out and did something he would enjoy in Wales that you could only do in Wales. and I think it was successful. I think he and Jess had a good time. I think it was really fun, and we got out for walks. I'm the Between the last video and now, I think we did a couple of walks. And yesterday in particular, we walked. We weren't planning on going out for a walk, but we kind of got most of the work that we needed done early. And so by 1 o'clock, we went up to Ureri, which is Snowdonia National Park, and did this walk at a place called Cwm Idwal. And it's one of these places it's half an hour, literally half hour drive from the house. And we get there, and Brad's like, "Oh, this is like hanging valleys I've seen all over places where I hike. It's so beautiful," and it is. It's just lovely. And so, getting to do those things was a big part of what we want to do when we're in Wales. And there are kind of an infinite number of walks and hikes and places to see that we can continue to tick off in future trips. But yeah, I think in answer to your question, I know this is long and rambling. The Sarah and I both feel really good about this trip. We feel like this is why we bought the house. It was to actually our neighbor this morning before we left, Kesha, came over, and Sarah had offered to give her like any food we had left over, and she just popped in actually to say goodbye. But she spoke to me in Welsh, and even though I didn't understand her, she laughed, and she said it's hard to know how much to speak Welsh. And I said, just go ahead and do that, and I'll work on getting better, and that's what we want. That's the kind of thing that we're looking forward to. So yeah, that's kind of a long-winded answer to your question. I hope I answered the question the way you intended, gave you the information you were looking for when you asked the question. I will make another video later, but that is my story. I'm sticking to it. I will talk to you when I talk to you.